this anthem tends to cover a lot of that, especially the light, which is why I picked it, because I think it would fit when David's going to do this, that portion of the Gospel of John, I think chapter 8. The word became light for us, comes right from the beginning of John. And it just, as I was looking at this, it started kind of daydreaming in my office through the idea of light. It was kind of weird. Here, I'll get a chair. My first impression was that Tuesday mornings I'd come here and pray with Hal and about 3 or 4 other guys just for the church. So it's dark, and it's inevitable as I'm driving down my street. I mean, we have rabbits everywhere. And this last Tuesday, I'm driving down the street, and this rabbit runs right out in front of me. And normally, we're kind of driving around dead rabbits in the street all the time, and so I try not to hit them. And but for whatever reason, this rabbit kind of stopped and went.
Thought it was a deer.
And of course that made me stop and go. And then it was and I did. I just kind of hit the brakes because I really didn't want to hit him. And he kind of looked at me like, "Oh, it's you," and then just kind of walked.
What's up, Dad?
And that came to mind in a weird sort of way, obviously, in how we respond to light. Because some bugs are drawn to light. Although it's very annoying to be at somebody's house for dinner and they got one of those zappers in their backyard and they're eating it. Some animals are they're just like that rabbit was for a moment. They're just stuck. And it's like they don't know what to do. They don't know how to respond. And some people, like humans, tend to run from the light, don't we? Especially because we know that light is very revealing, especially when it's the light of God that looks right down into you. And that's why Scripture says we prefer the darkness over the light, but that is exactly why the first thing God created was, let there be light. Right? Because he knew that that's what the foundation of creation was going to be and who that foundation was going to be, and that's what the Gospel of John tells us. And Jesus he was the Word, right? And he was the Word, and he was the life and the light. And it strikes me that there's a light that came right in the creation, and there was a light that really kind of talks, as John does, about salvation. I tell you these things that you may know that Jesus is the Christ, and that by believing you have life in his name. And Jesus himself said, "I am the light of the world," right? Then he kind of turned that around. He said, "You are the light of the world. And a city set on a hill can't be hidden, nor do people light a lamp or put it under a basket, but on a stand. It gives light to all the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." I remember when I first was a believer and really started walking with the Lord. And I could tell a difference in terms of what I understood. In other words, sometimes they criticize Christians. "Oh, he saw the light," right? Well, I did. And I think you did too. And it may not have hit you all at the same time, because light tends to grow in intensity the more you look at it. And for me, I began to notice and hear things like that and think, okay, I need to do good works. And immediately I could tell that I headed down in the wrong direction. Not immediately. As I look over my shoulder in the past, I see that I headed down the wrong direction, because when Jesus said, "You're the light of the world, and let your good works shine before men," he wasn't ever. There were two things I guess I want to say to you tonight. One of them is he never said you were going to be the light, in the sense that you own it, any more than you own the strength of God. God is in you, and you can exercise that strength. Hi.
He's just making sure you're coming, Ron.
But the light that shines in you and through what you do is Christ. And we can't ever think it's our own. That's pretty big. But again, doing good works, letting your good works shine, sometimes can get confusing because what Christ was not saying was, I want you to live some moralistic, legalistic lifestyle where your life is all about what I don't do and what I do do. Because it's not really the action itself, it's because God's looking at the heart. The light of Christ shines through love and joy and peace and kindness and patience and gentleness and all the other ones that I can't remember right now. When you live in the light of Christ, it's those things that begin to show. That becomes the good that comes through your works. There are tons of people with talent. And you can listen to somebody and sing and say, what a great gift. Listen, that's God, okay? Well, he created that voice, yes, he did. And what draws you to God of that voice? Yes, that is God. What draws you to the person is probably not God. So what I would encourage you to do as we sing a song like the Word and we start talking about the light and all of those things, and is to really take a moment to anticipate how is your heart going to respond in that. Because we can get lost in kind of this moralistic Christianity that says, I've got to do good works and then they'll see Christ in me. No. You've got to let Christ be in you, and you've got to let him transform your heart. Out of that heart, Christ will shine. And because you can be sitting in a room and you can be the light of Christ. Simply because of how you interact with people, who you are. And you know what I'm talking about. You can pinpoint certain people in your life and you just go, man, God is just all over that person. That just shines like crazy. And then there are other people who are busy doing stuff, volunteering for everything, showing up, and yet, as the scripture says somewhere in here that I think I wrote down, whoever says he is in the light and hates his brother is still in darkness. And the church has been full of people like this through the years. Sad to say, I don't think this room is full of that. So don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to here. But I am trying to say that people will get the wrong idea. And my hope is that since we have been chosen to and called out of this darkness to talk about his marvelous light, that how we do that is really important. Paul wrote that he thought it was important for us to keep awake and be sober in 1 Thessalonians, and he described that by putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet, the hope of salvation. That's how we're sober, how we live and sober. We just put on the gospel. We live that gospel out. And it's the basis of our fellowship. John said it in 1 John. If we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. That's what makes the difference, is what Christ is doing in us. And that will make every one of your works good because of who he is in you. So I bring that up because I really want this, having been just something we did last year, not to grow old for you. But at the same time, I want you to be aware that if you were like me when I first started this Christian walk and thought, I just got to do a bunch of good things and people will see Christ in me, you're heading down a wrong road. And that's a road that's not going to be very productive, nor is it going to be very fulfilling for you. Because you're going to find yourself at the end just kind of going, you did it on your own strength, and nobody saw the light of Christ. Because you were trying it yourself. You were trying to do it in your own work. That makes sense anyway. Let's try and sing this. Let's go through this. Why don't we stand up?